Over here in the UK, May 1st, we have the privilege of paying for Dereck Chisora against Joseph Parker. This fight was supposed to happen, I think, in 2019, but a spider bite, as well as leading to some jokes with Joseph Parker and Peter Parker, ultimately derailed the encounter. Pay-per-view, though, there is no way you can justify pay-per-view for this fight. Joseph Parker has had a succession of subpar performances, it would be fair to say. And Dereck Chisora really has just made a career of being the somewhat likeable, somewhat volatile, plodding guy who puts in a good shift, but doesn't really cut it at the top level. Hasn't he got 10 losses now? His win and loss ratio isn't so pretty as records go. It's probably going to be a competitive fight, and that's good enough these days to put stuff on pay-per-view for Eddie Hearn at least. I remember 15 years ago, or just a bit more, you would have quality world title fights on Fridays and Saturdays and you would not have to pay. Times really have changed. And a lot of fans just accept this though. People who have just got into the boxing or are casual fans, they're watching stuff like Povetkin White 2 or Parker and Chisora and going, oh, quality stuff, the heavyweight division's really warming up. I'm not against trying to be positive about stuff. But when this acceptance of a subpar product leads to just it being continually watered down, it's not good. You're being sold a smaller piece of cake for more money. It is an interesting fight. I've looked at it as kind of like Joseph Parker's lifeline fight for a long time, because he's fought in the UK before, because Chisora is a popular guy. He's had a rivalry with Tyson Fury, with Dillian Whyte. Parker, of course, lost to Dillian Whyte. It would be the kind of victory which could springboard him back into title contention. And it might be a alright fight if we're lucky. What was really surprising was the fact that Joseph Parker finally got rid of Kevin Barry. I didn't think he was going to do it. I got round to watching the fight against Junior Farr, and because people had said it was so bad, it wasn't quite as bad when I watched it. But there are faults that are with him that have remained, that have been visible since the Takam fight back in 2016, which I've always felt would have been the perfect time to ditch Barry and start trying to iron out the flaws when he was early, mid-20s. It sounds like he may have got with Andy Lee, that he's at least going to be with him for one fight, that they're enjoying each other's company, which of course is essential if you're going to be hanging around each other. And I was happy to hear Joseph Parker just acknowledge one thing when he was talking to Michelle Joy Phelps. Spoke about the right hand. Joseph Parker's right hand has been telegraphed now for far too long. It doesn't matter the fact that Joseph Parker is such a fast puncher. His body says he's about to throw the punch before it's released. And so everyone manages to get inside it. Hughie Fury was managing to lean against it. Or rather, get inside of it. Joseph Parker has speed to burn. But when it comes to the right hand, he almost does a little run-up. His body says hello, and then he throws it. So he just simply said, very simple point. We're going to just start trying to throw just the right hand from there, just from the shoulder. Boom. Doesn't have to be fast. If all that's moving is the arm, it's much harder to read and get out of the way of. Boom. And this is perhaps where he can learn to start throwing some more set-you-up shots. Look at guys who know how to break you down like Golovkin or Artur Beterbiev at light heavyweight. They throw a lot of mid-power shots to the arms, to the elbows. They suggest shots before they really land. This all helps you spy openings and see habits, and then you commit to a shot. But Parker is a bit too tightly wound up. The left hand has always been good. He knows how to hook off the jab nicely. That's all nice. But when it comes to doing the damage punch, you see it. You see the intent in his eye. You see how his body is tensed. And you're already turning away from it before it's been released. That's one of a few problems. Another is the fact that he straightens up when backed up. Dereck Chisora presents a bad styles match for him, We saw it against Takam when Parker is backed up to the ropes. He straightens up and he shuts down. He doesn't work inside. That's where he needs to learn to dip down a level, use his shoulder to bump off the opponent to create space, and then start ripping in the shots. He needs to be a little bit more dog. He said it in the past. Why don't we see it? The jab's always been nice. He moves well. But when they start to close on you, dip down, meet them, and start working away. There is the fear that this fight could degenerate and become very unwatchable. Both guys have been sloppy post 5-6 rounds. Chisora tends to flail away, not with the biggest power. And Parker, as I've just described, he does shut down, he goes to sleep. He allows himself to be backed up. And he's not that guy to thump you on the side of the head when you're in a clinch to get out of it. He'll look over at the corner at the ref and he'll nicely wait for it to be separated. I hope Andy Lee is the guy, but we need somebody there to turn the switch in his head. It's amazing to think he's still just 29. He still hasn't hit his 30s yet. And if he's not carrying too many injuries and he does still have some passion, maybe you can just get him a little bit meaner, which has always been lacking, I think, with Parker. It's going to be a tough fight. I do favour Joseph Parker. Could turn into a stinker. I think it's a difficult styles matchup for Parker because it doesn't necessarily suit his style. But as I said, it's the lifeline fight that Parker needed to rejuvenate his career. If he's got any designs on trying to become a world champion again, then it probably does spell Dereck Chisora.